Hi guys, it's Megan Pulling. I'm the church administrative assistant. I'm also the director of social media and front of house here at the Encounter. I gave my life to Christ. My first decision to turn my life over to Christ was in my early 20s. I had been raised in the church, but it never really felt personal to me. And I met my husband and his sister. They both were really important in showing me my need for a personal relationship with Jesus. But I feel like it's an ongoing process. It's not something that is just a one and done. So in my mid-30s, I had another revelation and felt like I had a new area of my life to turn over to Jesus. And so I feel like I'm in another renewal process right now. So I just encourage you that it can be a one-time major life event, or it can be something that just keeps building and growing, a lifelong process. And so at least that's been my experience. So I hope that helps. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sarah. My story, my testimony as to when I decided to submit my life to Jesus. Church was always what I did growing up. We always went to church. I was baptized as a baby, all of that. And so when my husband and I started having a family and I was an adult and involved in church, I decided that I wanted to make it my choice. I wanted to make that decision for me, and I knew that I wanted to set that example to put God first and make that commitment and be that example for my kids. So when my daughter was a baby, I was baptized at the Encounter, and it was a great decision, and we have always told both of my kids that church is something we do. We go to church on Sundays, we serve at church and things like that. So that's my story.
I just wanted to come on here and talk about the day I knew that I was going to devote my life to Christ. Roughly 29 years ago, the birth of my first child, I was in the delivery room and I saw her take her first breath. And right then I knew God exists and I'm going to serve Him. It just changed my life. And I grew up Catholic, didn't get much out of it, didn't quite understand. But something about that miracle of God breathing life into flesh just changed me. Thanks, love you guys. See you.
Hello Encounter family, this is Chris Benton. I am the intern pastor here at the Encounter. I'm going to talk a little bit about my walk with the Lord and when I decided to really get involved with that walk. For me, it's been many times, many situations that I have come to the point that this is where I need to be, but probably the one thing that kind of got me over the edge was back in 2010. I went to go help the youth on a missions trip to Nashville. We went there to help the homeless, and the many situations I seen that God was working through us, through others, just to do God's work and help the needy. It was an amazing experience. I continue to see things like that today, but I think that trip just kind of opened my eyes to know what God has in store for me and how He can work with us all each and every day.
I decided to dedicate my life to Jesus when my world felt like it was at its craziest and most chaotic, and I called out to Him looking for answers, and He showed up in a big way. When I allowed Him to move in my life, I realized that there was a peace and comfort and security and all these things that I had been looking for right at my fingertips the whole time and within me, and all I had to do was look up. So after dedicating my life to Jesus, I have come to realize how incredibly rich and blessed I am purely for knowing who I am and whose I am.
Hey guys, this is Daniel. I am the youth pastor here at the Encounter. So my story, I grew up in a single parent household for most of my younger years. I don't know who my father is, and so it was just me and my mom. And I remember through all the things, one of the things my mom prioritized was going to church. And that was where I began to believe in God. That's where she really made that a priority for me, is to believe in God. And so that's what we did. And I remember about 7 or 8 years old, my mom married my stepdad. And for the first time ever, I thought I was going to have kind of the dream family, you know, that you see on TV or you see that your friends have. And it just wasn't that. And at that point in my life, my kind of idea of a father figure was awful. My life was not great. I struggled with a lot of things to a point where I was diagnosed with chronic anxiety and chronic depression. It's something that I severely struggle with still to this day, and it's awful. But I remember as a teenager just dealing with these things. I got to a point where I just did not want to live anymore. I began to be suicidal. I began to make decisions that were based on that, and I basically got to a point where I knew it was going to be over, and I just had to figure it out. And I remember we jumped into this church, and I remember they had a youth ministry, and so I jumped in, and we went to this conference, and I remember this guy just passionately talking about Jesus and what it meant to follow Jesus, and it was like something I'd never heard before. And so in the midst of this, I remember just closing my eyes and breaking down and crying and really just being done. And I said, you know what, Jesus, if you're real and if you really have a purpose for my life, I'm all in. But I want you to show me who you are, and I want you to show me what you want me to do. And I remember for the first time ever I heard God's voice. And he said, open your eyes, look around. I want to make you a youth pastor. And that was the day I made a decision to follow Jesus. That was the day that I said yes to ministry. That was February 23rd of 2013. And I'm still following Jesus today.